Can you explain to the people real quick? Because I explained to them the ER process and notice to appears and how a lot of these illegal aliens were getting notice to appears. But what were you guys doing at the border? If you can kind of just quickly explain to them when you guys would catch an illegal alien.
Okay, so before this whole debacle happened, someone would cross you to do an ER. It's an expedited removal. Basically, they're waiving their right. They're just going back to their country. That's what you would expect to happen, right?
Yep.
So
that's what they did when I was in Laredo under Trump.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what else would you want them to? And I know I'm not talking to you, but I'm saying as the American citizen, you're sitting back, you're paying these guys to do a job. They cross, we catch them, they sign a few signatures. It takes very little time, and we remove you back to the country you came in from, Mexico. We drop you off there. Now, what was happening was these people were getting NTAORs, which, as you know, you couldn't even get somebody that was going to help your case get one.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, they're giving them out like candy. Like, that's all they were getting.
Let me explain that to the audience real quick. So, chat, I would get, like, let's say they would catch a load of illegal aliens, and one of the guys in there was, like, could be a good informant. I'd ask Border Patrol, I'd beg, can you please give them an NTAOR? And they would literally tell me no. I had to process them myself. Now, right, they're giving out NTAORs to fucking all these illegal aliens. I couldn't even get it for an informant that was giving me information. Now they're just giving it out to people. So that's just to kind of give you guys
by the
an
million, and then they're 5-6 years out. They're 5-6 years out from going to a court date. Then they don't show up to a court date, and then we go to and then we want ICE to remove them. They say, well, they haven't committed a crime. Like what Ed was saying, they pay taxes. They help the GDP. It's like, so they came here, got a cell phone, got a plane ticket, got a hotel room, got government subsidies to live, eat, work. They don't do anything. They're on the dole. Never worked a day in their life in this country. They came here to apply for asylum, but so you're applying for asylum because you're persecuted in your country, but you just passed through 8 other countries. So why didn't you stop in those other countries? Oh, you want to come here and live off my tax dollars. So at no point would it ever make sense, or is it even feasible to let them stay here? And now they're here in the millions. And we're talking about giving out more visas to more workers. Like, let's remove those people, shut the borders down, and get back on track. Obviously, that doesn't benefit anybody but except the everyday working American. We always come last. That's just a point, and we're seeing that people that we kind of supported as an American First Movement, they're immediately turning our backs on us. So that's why, as a matter of principle, anyone that supports that, I can't stand for.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've absolutely, I think, you know, the immigration, it is a problem, and we need to restrict it significantly. And bringing in, and my issue, look, my biggest thing is, like, we're taking, because these H-1B visas, man, I think it's one of the most exploited visas we have. And I'm so glad that Laura brought attention to this shit, because I've been, like, I've known this shit for years, but I didn't really talk about it because most Americans don't understand this shit. Guys, they're literally using these H-1B visas to hire people so that they can just pay them less. Like, that, it's like a fucking corporate loophole where these big ass companies hire these people, right? Under the premise of getting a job. And then what ends up happening a lot of times is these guys get these H-1B visas and they're able to transition and get a green card, etc. And they're basically kind of just able to segue in and get
they go
this
back
job.
and smuggle more people, Myron. They go back to the border. You know how many people I've caught in cars on H-1B visas smuggling more people illegally, and nothing happens, and they don't get prosecuted, nothing gets removed?
Yeah.
Think about that. They go, so now they exploited that system, and now they're exploiting it further by picking up people at the border, driving them in that we don't even know who they are. Meanwhile, we're talking about kids now that are getting trafficked and killed. 500,000 missing. And I came on your show, it was 300,000. Now it's up to 500,000. It's almost like me and you knew what we were talking about. And then you look at the subway, there's a woman getting burned alive to death by a Guatemalan immigrant. I mean, I hate the fact that history is going to be kind to me, but I saw this coming. It didn't take a genius to understand. It just took a guy like me with a little bit of courage that loved this country and said, you know what, I'll put my job on the line to tell the truth. And luckily I had you to give me a platform to do so, and you still are.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's important and something that very few people, like, I don't think any political commentators can talk to this level of detail when it comes to immigration, because unless, and I don't blame them, unless you've worked immigration yourself, you're not going to understand this shit. Most people simply don't know. And actually, matter of fact, guys, anyone that has questions, you guys have 2 people here that probably know more about the INA than anyone else on the internet that I know of. So if you guys got some questions or whatever, get your questions in. You can go ahead and send them in on a Rumble Rant, Castle Club chat, or fnfsuperchat.com. Ask your questions, because you guys honestly have a unique experience here. You got a Border Patrol agent and you got an investigator that needs to deal with this shit. But sorry, go ahead. You were saying, Zach?
No, it's just funny that, you'll get Border Patrol agents or ICE guys that are retired that, I did it while I was employed. So what benefit did I have? How much money have I made by going on your show? You paid for and you gave me a few hunch or whatever you gave me, whatever it was to join the union. I haven't made millions. I didn't get my gun and badge taken to become a political influencer or X guy. I've made nothing.
Do you want
But
to talk
I lost
about
money.
it's up to you, but do you want to talk about, because I saw this coming when you came on our show, so I'll kind of let you.
We already knew that it was coming. So
Do you
let
want
me
to
just
tell them
update
what
you
you've
because
dealt with
and I don't want
since?
to make it about me. It's about the immigration thing, dude. Listen, I'm America first, but just so you know, because me and you haven't had a chance to talk, they went to talk to me. I didn't get in trouble. They haven't even proposed this one because they don't know what to do. I'm sure they're listening to this right now.
They probably are.
I would not engage in an interview. Not because I was afraid to answer any questions. I've done nothing wrong but tell the truth. But I'm a whistleblower, dude. And
Who?
I went to Congressman Ron Johnson. I went to the OIG long before I ever did your show. Okay, that's a protected pathway. So by them interviewing me and me participating in that, that's just showing the next whistleblower that he's going to be forced to participate in that. And listen, if you're working for the government and you want to come forward and tell the truth because you love your country, you shouldn't be investigated and you shouldn't have to participate in that investigation. And that's where I stand. Because I said that, they took my badge and gun.
Hold on. So who came to, was it OPR or was it OIG?
OPR, Office of
Okay.
Professional
Okay.
Responsibility.
All right. So can I explain that real quick to the audience here?
Please, brother.
Okay. So chat. This is the way it goes, right? When you're a government employee, because I really want you guys to understand what Zach is really risking, even having this conversation with me right now, coming on the show. When you're a government employee and you're a gun toter, you're law enforcement, right? If any type of allegation comes across, whether it's, inappropriate behavior, or you get a DUI, you get arrested for some bullshit, or someone in the office complains about you, or any of this shit, what ends up happening is it automatically gets something sent to something called the Joint Intake Center, right? The JIC. And what will happen is that will automatically send a referral over to the Office of Professional Responsibility, as well as Office of Inspector General. Now, just to explain this to you guys, Office of Professional Responsibility, think of them as internal affairs, right? They're internal affairs for Border Patrol, right? So they're going to go ahead and do administrative investigations of misconduct when it comes to policy, code, whatever the fuck it may be, right? Like typically non-criminal stuff. It could rise up to the level of criminal, but it's typically going to be smaller stuff. Lying under oath, 1001 that type of shit. Then you got the Office of Inspector General, OIG, who handles all criminal cases of federal employees within that department. So in this case, it would be DHS OIG. FBI also gets involved as well if it becomes egregious, right? There's like real corruption. Now, with that said, Zach Smart went to the OIG first, said, look, I'm going to go ahead and whistleblow on this shit. And I didn't know you did that, which is smart that you did that. Then he came out, and then obviously as a matter of, they have to do it, OPR obviously had to open up a case, and they went ahead and brought him in, and they do something called I think it's called a Garrity interview, if I'm not mistaken, where you are compelled to come in and answer questions because you're not under a criminal proceeding. It's an administrative proceeding. So they can ask you questions, and you have to answer. They swear you in, and you answer the questions. In this case, Zach, you said you just told them basically pound sand, I'm not answering questions, right?
I said because other whistleblowers are behind me and I've done nothing wrong, that I'm not going to participate in this interview because they're going to feel compelled to participate in the same interview if they've told the truth on a
Yeah.
public platform.
Okay.
I didn't give away anything operational security. I gave away nothing other than the truth.
Yeah.
And to save lives. And that's what I was trying to do, is save people's lives, like that woman on the train, by telling the American public this is much worse than you're being told it is.
Yeah. So OPR
And then
obviously.
since I did,
Sorry. Go ahead.
no, just since so basically you're explaining it much better than I ever could. You're much smarter than me, but pretty much if you want to keep your job, you have to participate in that interview.
Yeah.
I said I'm not participating in this interview because I already went to OIG. That's a protected pathway. I'm a protected whistleblower, and I've gone to a congressman, a senator, Ron Johnson, who that's also a protected pathway. Once you speak to a senator, they can't investigate you on that whistleblowing process.
Okay. So.
And he's one of the biggest senators in the country, and he advised me not to do it. And he advised me not to do it because he said, listen, these agencies, essentially what he said were, these agencies are rogue. They get away with whatever they want, and I can't protect you. That's what one of the most powerful senators in the country told me.
Yeah, and I mean, given that you went that pathway, I don't blame you because it's a compelled interview, and when you do a compelled interview, it Look, the only thing that could really save you when you do those compelled interviews is like not lying. Like just because when you do those things, you can't lie. So it's just better off sometimes to stay silent. But in your case, what they did was they gave them what they wanted, which they could take your gun, they could put you on desk duty, all this bullshit when you don't answer the questions.
But
But
that's a price I'm
hopefully,
willing to pay because I don't want somebody else to have to feel like they need to do it. I'm trying to
yeah,
make real change. And the thing is, if you, because you're a special agent, okay, you could interview me. There's nothing I'm ashamed to say that I did. I mean, I did everything very methodically and thoughtfully. I did this step by step by step. There's nothing like I'm hiding.
yeah.
What did I say? What did I really say that was so out of line?
Yeah, and
I did.
I'll keep it real with you, bro. Like those agents probably agree with you to some degree. They probably just had to interview you because they have to do it. So like
Yeah, it's
because
checking a box. It's
because here's
checking
the
off.
thing with OPR, right? When OPR comes in, they only got like 6 months to complete their investigation if it's administrative. The only time they can extend it longer is if it's a criminal investigation. In your case, it's strictly administrative, right? So they can't really do too much. So the only thing they could do is like, okay, you don't want to answer questions on the compelled interview. All right, typically what we have to do is now we have to take your gun, put you on restricted duty, and then like kind of wait on the
It's a
outcome of the
fireable
case.
offense. And it's a fireable offense. But it's funny that and I stayed apolitical, but it's funny that the day after the election, people started being much nicer to me. And now no one wants to bring the hammer of justice because they know, due to the fact that I was in James O'Keefe's movie and he was at Mar-a-Lago the night that Trump won the election, I'm not that far removed from the guy that's running the show.
Well, I'll be honest with you, bro. If they fire you, it's gonna look really bad. So I'm glad that you went through OIG. I'm glad that we went ahead and secured you a lawyer. You didn't have to say that I helped you out with that. I mean, I was gonna keep that behind the scenes, but I appreciate that you gave me that shout out. Obviously, when you came on the
And you've
show, I
been
was like,
phenomenal.
the first thing
And
we need
guys,
to do.
Myron's been phenomenal. That's why I'm a proponent of Myron. I mean, I don't agree with everything you have to say, and I'll tell you straight to your face, but you've been nothing but respectful to me. You've brought me on your show. You've helped me. And as I tell you, I don't expect anything. I just wanted a platform to speak, and you took it much further than that, and you gave me money. So if anybody ever comes at you, it bothers me because I'm not here to kiss your ass. I really don't care one way or the other, but I tell the truth.
Well,
If there's nothing else, I tell the truth, and you've been good to me, dude.
no,
So
I knew that as soon as you came on the show that OPR was going to open a case, bro. So I was like, dude, me and you talked about it offline. I appreciate you giving me that love, but I was like, dude, I can't let you walk out of the studio without helping you out. So, I think me getting you a lawyer or helping you get one was the most. Dude, I used to be on the job too. So like, that's the first thing I was like, nah, fuck that. We need to get you a lawyer, dude, because this is yeah. I knew an OPR case was going to be opened immediately as soon as you came on.
yeah, and I'm willing to get fired, and I'm willing for anything to happen. I knew every single consequence that I could face, but I wasn't going to stand by and watch my country, go to the wayside. I mean, you came here, your parents came here, they did it the right way. Obviously, they're legal, you're legal. We all have a interest in this country succeeding, and when you have 500,000 kids missing, and they're being alien criminals putting our women on fire, killing them, my job becomes second to that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a rare stance nowadays. Maybe guys just want to pay for their family. I'll go beg, borrow, and steal before I let that continue on without me standing up and saying something. And I don't want to be dramatic, but we've gone to this point because men have become cowardly. They've
Yeah.
kept their mouth shut because their wives have told them, "Babe, don't say anything. Just keep collecting the paycheck. It's not your problem to deal with." If you consider yourself a child of God, and I'm not pushing Jesus Christ on you guys, but if you consider yourself a child of God, if you consider yourself a man, how are you going to propagate and allow and murders of our citizens by people that were just giving everything to come in here? You shouldn't be able to look yourself in the mirror.
Yeah. No, it's wild,
And I would
man.
love somebody to debate me on that because there's a lot of guys that are like, "Oh, you should have said something, this and that," or "You're a grifter." Where did I grift? What money have I made? How has my life gotten any easier or better?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't benefit you at all to come out with this, man. I'll tell you that. I mean, I remember before I brought you on the show, I warned you. I was like, hey, man, are you sure you want to do this? Because I knew that this was going to go to the JIC immediately, and they were going to give you this bureaucratic bullshit and tell you, oh, you can't do that, all this other shit, and take your gun away and stuff. But I'll say this, man, all this, optics on you and Trump being in office, if they fired you, it would look really fucking bad, bro. And I'll tell you this, if they fire you, bro, I am going to be one of your biggest advocates, and we'll make sure that we make them look stupid for doing that. If they fire you. Because you're
And I
just nothing more
appreciate.
than a whistleblower,
And
bro.
I appreciate that. All I wanted was to tell the truth, dude. I mean, listen, I lost both my brothers to fentanyl overdoses, and once again, it's not about me, but I'm only bringing this up because it's like kind of easy for people to understand. Like, look at the Tate brothers; they're very close with their, they're very close together. Me and my brothers, that's all we had. We grew up. My father's a cab driver. My mother's handicapped. We didn't have nothing but ourselves. They both died of drugs. When my brothers got taken from me, I started to live for a greater purpose.
Yeah.
So So when you're living for something more than yourself, that's why you speak out. And I really I want to, because a lot of government employees listen to you, and a lot of government employees have reached out to me behind the scenes and said, "Hey, dude, I could never have done that, but good on you." Guys, if you tell the truth, regardless of consequence, you will always be okay. Tell the truth. Do not lie. Just tell the truth. And if there's something wrong, it needs to be brought to the American public's attention. You're only on this earth for a short amount of time. Make a friggin' difference. Don't be a coward and keep your mouth shut. Not
Fair
when our
enough.
country's falling by the wayside.
Did anyone have a question for me or Zach here on the panel? I see two hands here. We'll go to irrelevant. Go ahead.